Hi, everyone. This is Hal Krosman with Screenwriting U, and today we're going to be talking about how to write fascinating scenes. We'll be working with Breaking Bad as we go through that. So I'm going to do a quick analysis of that opening scene, the one that hopefully you just had a chance to watch. If not, I'm sure you'll remember it as we jump into it. We will look at a model for analyzing and writing great scenes so that you have at least a version of that. And then we'll talk about the upcoming class, Scene Mastery, for those of you who would like to be able to have or create the kind of impression that Vince Gilligan, the writer of Breaking Bad, created when people read that scene. And I was one of those people early on. I had a chance to see it before it came out. Uh, just reading that one scene, I read just the opening scene and I looked up and I went, oh my God, this writer is incredible. And that's what you want. So think about your experience when you watched it. Was it okay? Did you go, okay, okay, yeah. Did you think it was really good? Did you see it as amazing? And by the way, what skills were used in writing it? So think about that for a moment. And then I'm just going to ask you, compare your experience of how you saw the writing now versus how you do at the end of this conversation after I present this model. So here we go. It started. I'll just walk through just the steps here. The pants are flying through the air. Then an RV crashes through them, running into something. Then the driver, it turns out, has a gas mask on and he's in his underwear, right? From there, we see the passenger slumped over unconscious. He's also wearing a gas mask. There are dead bodies sloshing around in the back, money and chemicals, sirens behind us. The RV crashes into a sandbank. Will they get caught? Then Underwear Man, right here, pops out and then he dives back in to get the camera and the gun. He desperately makes this video, his last will and testament, claims it's not a confession of guilt. And the final image is Walter in his underwear with a gun, ready to stand down the cops. Now, that's a lot to happen in a scene, but we got introduced to so many things there. So let's look at what it accomplished. First thing, a whole amazing series of reveals. Just that. And the way they were done. It's like that was one of the first things that had me go, oh my God, this writer is astounding. Uh, they had intrigued us on multiple levels. It introduced Walter in desperation, running for his life. And let's pause for a second. Imagine that our introduction to Walter, instead of this, was the second scene. He wakes up, gets out of bed, goes in and sits down at the breakfast table. Him and his son debate a little bit about, the bacon or whatever it was. And then he goes to work where nobody notices him. I don't think this series would have ever been done if that was the opening scene. Uh, this scene, though, did something completely different. It introduced Vince Gilligan as an incredible writer, and it introduced this show as something that should be on the air, and you know what happened after that. So I'm going to bring a lot of it down to just that moment where we got to meet this character, where we got to meet Vince Gilligan, where we got to see what was possible with this show. Now, let's talk about it in detail. And pardon me, I got some stuff going on here. So I'm going to look at this on three different levels. The first one, basic scene structure. We've got a scene arc. In this case, it goes from the RV on the run to Walter preparing to do suicide by cop. Then we have a situation, right? And he's desperately running from the authorities with two dead bodies in the back. This is the situation that this scene is based around. It's important. If we just had him running from the authorities, no bodies in the back, then we don't know what the consequences are, right? It's like there's adding that one thing meant if he gets caught, he's in prison for the rest of his life at minimum. So then we've got a conflict. Walter believes this is the end of his life. And we don't have to hear him say that to know it. When he got to the video, he's talking like this is the end of his life, like his wife and kids are never going to know anything else about him, all of that kind of thing. Then we've got to move the story forward. So I know this is the teaser, but it introduces Walter as a criminal on the run. That's very different than what's going to happen in the next scene. So even though this is happening at the very beginning, when we get to the next scene, we're going, oh, this guy is a professor or a teacher or whatever. And he teaches science. And we know this is where the whole thing's going. He's a criminal on the run. We're going to find that out. So we need to, at the moment we see this scene, we need to know who this guy is. We need to know what got him there. We need to know how he got into this terrible situation. Then it's about entertainment value. And take a look at this. It had an intriguing series of reveals. That was entertaining. Suspense, empathy with the character during the confession scene, and worry that Walter will die. All of this, by the way, is the emotional part of the scene, which is a big part of the entertainment. From there, we've got setups and payoffs. And again, just notice how much stuff was built into this scene. A setup, the pants are flying through the air. The payoff, they belong to Underwear Man. Now, you might have perceived the payoff differently. You might have gone, oh my God, he's got no pants on. But we know where the pants are. The setup over here, why is he running? The payoff, there's dead bodies in the back. So what else is he going to do in that situation? The setup, the sirens are moving toward him. The payoff, Walter steps into the road to do suicide by cop. And there's a bunch of other setups and payoffs. I just wanted to point those out. Now, that's level one. Let's go to level two. Level two is all about making it engaging. So here we start with urgency, right? And Walter, he's got some urgency. He's running from the authorities, could be caught any second. The sirens are closing in as he's making the video to his wife, right? There's stuff going on here. Then we go to surprise. The RV drives through the pants. That was actually a surprise. If you go back and watch it, these pants are floating and it's like this kind of wonderful thing. And suddenly this RV drives over the top of them and there we go. Another surprise, Underwear Man with a gas mask. Another surprise, dead bodies in the back, right? This is how well this was written. From there to twist, Underwear makes a video to his wife. So most people, I don't know. I don't know what most criminals would do, but somebody popping out of that van at that point, I'm assuming they're going to keep running, but he goes back. So, and then he makes the video to his wife, and it's like we get to see this is a real person. He's not just a criminal. He's got things going on here that matter to him, and it matters so much. That's the main thing he needs to do at that point. And then twist number two is him stepping into the road to end it. Now, then rising tension. Every reveal makes the scene more tense. That's one of the things that had me go, wow. It wasn't just like, oh, we just look around the room and we see a bunch of different things. It's like every one of them has an emotional impact. Every one of them surprises us. Every one of them makes it more tense. He's running, then we see a gas mask, then dead bodies, then sirens, video confession, then suicide by cop. Every one of them takes it to a new level. So that makes it much more engaging. What's next? Let's go to level 3, making it insightful. And there are some scenes you want to do this with, some you don't. It's up to you. But this one, I think it needed to have some insights. So we start with irony. Walter did his crimes to help his family. So that's ironic. And I know, yeah, there are some people that do that, but it's like somebody committing crimes, good upstanding citizen. Normally, you would say that doesn't really help the family. But he's not doing that to get wealthy. He's not doing that because he loves criminal activity. He's not doing it because he loves the drugs or anything like that. He's doing it for this reason, to help his family. And then he says all of this. Let's go here. Then there's subtext. And I loved this line. To all law enforcement agencies, this is not an admission of guilt. And it's like, well, first, it actually is an admission of guilt. uh, and even though he is saying things to his family, he just put himself at the scene on video. And so, he's at the scene of the crime. He's got dead bodies there. He put himself there. It is an admission. It would be used in court. Then there's this dilemma. Does he turn himself in and live for his family, or does he end it sparing himself the pain? And when he stepped up to see to do the suicide by cop, he made a choice. The reveals. There's 7 different reveals in this scene, with the final one I've already told you about a bunch of times. Betrayal. Has Walter betrayed the trust of his wife and children? Yeah, probably. Now, again, take a look at all 3 of those levels. This scene was written incredibly well. It has a lot of depth. It was designed to cause us to want to stay with that series from that point on, whether you did or didn't. This scene, if that was the only scene you saw, chances are you're at least going to be saying, I need to watch this episode. So that's our objective. What makes the scene great? This is the mystery we're here to solve. And it's like we spent this particular class, I think we spent probably 4 months designing it and 3 or 4 months working with people as we went through it. But I'll say great scenes are written by insightful writers. I see a lot of scenes that are the opposite. They're just showing us something that's happening in a room. This scene took us to so many layers of depth. It gave us so much more. The writer on this deserves all the success they ever got, because they, again, Vince Gilligan and whatever team he had, they wrote this at such a deep level with so much value in it. The keys to this, what makes a scene great? The easiest way to do this is to analyze some of the best writing. And that doesn't mean you want to write like it. What you want to do as you're analyzing it is have breakthroughs. This I'll tell you in just a second. Yeah, no, I'll tell you right now. And then you want to write from those breakthroughs. Let me tell you where this came from. I created a whole breakthrough model, by the way. It was one of the things I've done in expert modeling. But I was interviewing this A-list screenwriter, and I think at that point I'd probably interviewed maybe 30 A-list screenwriters. And in this particular event, we had 5 in a row. So I was on number 4 at this point. every one of them had said things that were incredible. Every one of them, I thought, oh my God, that's amazing how they're thinking, how they're creating, where it's coming from, how they set the people up, all just so many things that were valuable. And we got to this one guy and he sat down and I asked him two questions and he said something brilliant. And I was like, man, you guys are so smart. And he goes, well, thank you. I said, so where do you think that comes from? And he didn't understand what I meant. So I was like, do you remember back when you wrote your third script? And he goes, yeah, yeah. He says, I remember it. And I said, okay, were you anything close to as good as you are right now then? He goes, oh no. He says, my third script, pardon the expression, he says it was shit. I said, okay. So what's the difference? What happened? What happened that was different between then and now that has you be at the level you're at? And he sat there and he thought about it for a minute. And then he goes, about 100 breakthroughs. And when he said that, it was like, it just blew me away. It was like, oh my God, that's right. That's what this is. They're talking out of their breakthroughs. The reason why they're so brilliant in front of us is because everything they say at one point was a breakthrough for them, right? Everybody's pretty much writing at this level. Some are a little bit better, but the A-list are way up here. And the reason is because that's where they write from. They come from those breakthroughs. So the question is, what would it take for you to have the level of breakthroughs that A-list writers have? And if you think that's not possible, it's just because you don't have this process yet. But there's a way to do it. So I looked at the quality of people's writing and my own experience on this one. When we talk about beginners, a beginner almost entirely writes from whatever comes to them. I've asked at least 2,000 writers. They'll pitch something to me and I'll say, how did you come up with that? The vast majority will say, an idea just popped into my head and I started writing. I have heard that from at least 2/3 of them. An idea just popped in my head, or I was doing this thing and all of a sudden this thing popped into my head and I just went, cool, and I just went with it. That's surface level. An idea pops into your head and you start writing. It's like, okay, that's surface level. And that makes sense. It's like when you look at somebody's first script, you don't see much subtext unless they've been writing for a long time. You don't see much real depth. A good writer focuses on discovering that depth, right? They're looking beneath the surface. They're writing beneath the surface to some degree or another. A great writer is writing from breakthroughs. The difference between this and this is the world. It's that this at this level, as a good writer who is building in depth, you're doing okay in contest, likely semifinalist, maybe a finalist, that kind of thing. The great writers, these are the ones when they write something, you stand back and go, oh my God, I don't know how they did it. I interviewed a producer at Sony at one point, and I was talking with him about this A-list writer that he had worked with. And he said this, and I'd interviewed the A-list writer before that, and asked him some questions about working with this producer. But the producer said, he said, we go into meetings, we give him some notes, we say, here's what we'd like done. He comes back the next day and he says, I am so in awe. I can't figure out how he does this. It's like yesterday, all we had was a story idea. Today, we have something in front of us that is just astounding. And it was like, yeah, I'd talked with the A-list writer, and this was after I learned this, and I talked with him about where breakthroughs came from, what he had learned, how he found them, how many times he spent 6 months trying to figure out something and finally got it. And then After that, he was operating out of it. He was writing out of it. So breakthroughs, those are the aha moments, right? You know them. It's like, oh my God, that's how you do it. And it's like those are the aha moments that let you into a whole new world of writing. You need to have those. That's where you want to be going. Now, think about this scene, and let me tell you about this upcoming class because this is such a cool class. It's different than anything you've ever done before. The question is, what if you doubled the quality of your writing, or what if you tripled the quality of your writing, right? And especially when we're talking about scenes, because scene writing, if you think about it, gives you in a normal script, you have between 50 to 70 scenes plus or minus. That gives you 50 opportunities to blow producers away with your writing, to have people in this industry see you as incredible, to give the experience that I had when I first read that scene by Vince Gilligan. It's like I got to the end of the scene and I didn't say to myself, wow, wow, I really want to see this show, although probably that was in the back of my head. I was just stunned by the quality of the writer. Now, by that time, Cheryl and I were small producers at that point. By that time, Vince Gilligan was already out of our league. Uh, the show was coming up. It hadn't aired yet, but it was like the second it aired, went crazy for it, and there's a good reason. So let me just walk you through how this works. The objective, by the end of this class, you are a stunning scene writer. I'm not going to just give you a bunch of information. This is going to be, you are going to go through the process and have the breakthroughs. We've designed a method for doing that. By the time you're done with this, not only will your writing be significantly better, but you'll be able to apply this breakthrough process anyplace. Our objective again is that you double or triple the quality of every scene you write, that you captivate the reader, that anyone who reads your writing says, wow, this person is a professional, and this script blows them away. So the way it works is this. I'm going to give you, you're going to come into the program. We're going to give you a process for the causes of breakthroughs. During the program, you will analyze great scenes every day. So you just saw me analyze a scene. And I'll give you the process to be able to do exactly what I just did. Instead of me doing it and telling you about it, you will do it first from a thinking perspective, and then you'll internalize it so that it becomes part of how you write. So every day you're going to analyze this Monday through Friday. Every day you will analyze a great scene using our model. You'll work with scenes from 20 different perspectives. And this is my experience when we created this. Was I went back and I met with a bunch of writers who had all written 3 to 5 scripts. They were using about 4 different perspectives to write scenes from. And they just did the same kinds of scenes over and over and over. This will give you 20 different perspectives, which just by itself will shift your scene writing. But that's not even close to where we're going. You're going to master 4 different types of scenes, but this is the big thing. You will be analyzing those scenes to gain insights and breakthroughs. You'll be using our specific model. Don't worry about it right now. When we get to it, I will walk you through it and you will know how to do it. We will show you, you will do it, you will see other people do it. All of those insights, everything you learn during this program, you'll immediately apply to your current script. And basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be analyzing a scene. We'll give you a great scene. You'll analyze it. You'll look for multiple layers of depth. Then you will see how other people analyze it to see if there was anything you missed or anything they saw that you go, oh my God, that's brilliant. Whatever breakthroughs you have, you'll immediately go to a scene in your current script and apply them right then. So Every single day of this program, you're not only learning to be a better writer, but you will take one scene in your script to a whole new level, make it so much more insightful, so much more interesting, so much more compelling. And that, by the time you're done, will likely give you a script that has a real chance of either doing incredibly well in contest or getting inside the industry. The program starts on June 2nd. I think that's like 3 Mondays from now. That gives you the chance to be able to work with your script, bring it up to the highest level you can. And when you come into this program, then you're going to try to double the quality of the best scenes that you have. Once you've done that, your whole life changes as a writer. You can now write at a level that is so much beyond where you were before and where most people are. This program, it's Monday through Friday. You can do it anytime, 24 hours a day. It's set up that way. It's really, really easy and convenient. The normal price on it is $199. The lowest we sold this class at, if I'm correct, is $129. The special for the first 10 people is $99. So you can get into this class for $99. Again, it's 30 days. At the end of that 30 days, every script you submit to a contest has a better chance. Every script you submit to a producer, an agent, or manager has a better chance. Anybody that reads your writing is going to ask, oh my God, who is this writer? So just ask yourself, what if you doubled the quality of your scenes in your script, in any script you write? What if you doubled the quality of your scenes? What if you were able to look at scenes and see twice as much depth as you currently see? What if when you were working with a producer or a director and they ask you to do something different to the scene, you knew how to do it, you absolutely could take it to that level, and you could blow them away? What kind of a difference would that give for you, both in your chance of success, but also in the level of fulfillment that you have as a writer? Because a lot of this journey is us being alone, working on our projects. What kind of a difference would it make if the quality of your writing was twice as good as it is right now? That's what's absolutely possible with this program. So again, all you got to do is go down here to this link. And here's the link. It's bit.ly, bit.ly. Write this down. And then the word scene order. No spaces, no capitals, no dashes. Again, just write bit.ly, bit.ly/scene order. If you get in at the special, if you're one of the first 10 at $99, that's going to be great. If it pops up to the next 10, I think is 129. The one after that is 149. If you end up paying 129 or 149, I promise you, this class will be worth it. Every script you write from now on, you will be using this process. It will give you such an advantage. It'll make such a difference in the quality of your writing. So with that, come join us. You're going to love this program. By the way, it's like one of the funnest programs we've ever done. You're going to love it, and you'll love what it does for who you are as a writer. So good hanging out with you guys. I will see you another time. Looking forward to seeing you in the class. Bye-bye, everyone.